Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here on November 12th. November 12th. I didn't want to say that right away. Last week I screwed up the date. Not an unusual thing on this show, but I didn't want to do it today, so I thought 12th might be too hard for me to say. But I said it. The 12th of November, 2025. The great Tommy Pistachio Alascio is here. I'm going to start the show with a story you told on Facebook. It was wild. Tommy, this guy here, Tommy Pistachio Alascio, he seems like such a nice guy, but he broke up a marriage to make a placement. And I'm going to give you just the summary and let him fill in any details. He's down in the States. He was recruiting here in Toronto, okay? And he found a candidate, an engineer, and his client was willing to double that guy's salary. Double.
Well, it didn't. No, it doubled because of the exchange rate. They weren't doing it on purpose.
You correct me after, okay? So I hate to be rough. Okay, but you're wrecking my story.
Sorry,
he was making around $65,000, and the full package would have given him like $130,000. Okay, but the problem was he had a fiance who wanted to move to Montreal. Maybe she was French. I don't know. And so in the end, his candidate Brent decided to go for the money, and his fiance took off on her own. Okay, and is there something I'm missing there? I mean, how did you?
No, I mean you pretty much.
Were you in there telling Brent she's not so great? You'll find somebody else.
That's not what I was doing at all. So he was making 65 Canadian or 63 Canadian, right? And we offered him 80 US plus a guarantee of 20. Which at the time came out to like almost 130,000 Canadian. So yes, it did double his compensation. But when he first saw the offer, and I didn't explain all this, right? He was making 63. We offered him a base of 80 with a guaranteed bonus of 20, right? So that's 100. He thought, okay, base of 80. You know how engineers are. Bonuses don't always count. So he thought he was only getting like a $17,000 raise. And then it clicked that it was US. And that even if we just went with the 80, it was like over 100 base from 63, right? And then you add the bonus on, which is guaranteed.
Yeah,
and
you're giving all kinds of extraneous. I told a good story.
But I'm trying to think. So it was more.
You're making him sound like an idiot.
Working,
it took him a year to.
I didn't tell him it was. I didn't tell him it was US. I never said it was US. That was the problem. He thought it was Canadian. So. He really wanted to work for the company. At first, it was an okay offer, but then it turned into an amazing offer. And he still really wanted to work for the company. He argued with the girlfriend, fiance, hey, I really want this opportunity. She's like, I really want to move to Montreal. And he said, basically, okay, you can really move to Montreal, but I'm staying with Simpson Strong-Tie.
So long, honey.
He's been with the company for 24 years.
Why did she want to go to Montreal?
I think it was just something they had talked about, right? It wasn't like there wasn't family or anything. It was they wanted to be in a bigger city. They weren't exactly in
Montreal's
Toronto.
Not bigger than Toronto anymore.
They weren't in Toronto. They were in Bunting or something.
A small town?
Yeah, small town about a half an hour from Toronto.
Okay, but why would he want us to stay? And would the company want him to stay? Would they have hired him if he went to Montreal?
No, because they needed him as what's called a branch engineer. He ran the branch engineer, and now he's the actual runs.
Okay, well, that's quite a story. I've never heard anything like it. Okay,
I put somebody out of business too once.
You what?
I recruited all the employees from an engineering firm in Alabama, and he closed up because he had no employees left.
Oh boy, people aren't going to like you after hearing this.
I didn't do it on purpose, right? He only had 3 employees. So
oh, okay. Well,
it was an accident. Yeah. I didn't mean to do it.
Okay, but I got to tell you, this is not making you sound that nice. So you might want me to delete this stuff.
But all the people, no, that's okay. No, and I'll tell you, right? So the guy who closed his business was in his late 60s. He was going to retire anyway, and he thought maybe the guy I placed as the engineering manager for Valley was going to take over the company. But the guy called me and he really wanted to move to Nevada. So I placed him in 1999, and he just retired last year. So it was a great move.
See, Ernie's disappeared and the framing has changed. Okay, Ernie's God must have called him. Okay, well, that's quite a story. And actually, Kelly had a very good story as well. She placed, the guy Paul, who was a partner at Microsoft. I can't remember his name. Paul Allen.
Paul Allen, yep.
Yeah, she was living in Seattle, where Microsoft is based, and she found a companion for Paul Allen's mother to travel around the world, make her bed at nighttime. I don't know how old she was, take care of her dogs, and just to be a companion. How would you find somebody like that? What would you do if you got that order?
Um, that's really one of those searches where you're going to have to meet with Paul
Yeah, but
Allen's
where
mother.
would you look? Put up an ad? I mean, is
No,
that an
no,
ad?
no. I mean, well, it would depend on what specifically they wanted, right? So I'm assuming, right, that they would, since she was probably older, like if I was doing this for my dad, I'm a billionaire, right? I'm gonna do this for my dad. I'm gonna get someone who's got healthcare background, who's got elder care background, maybe CPR certified. So I'm gonna look for healthcare
Okay,
people
so
that don't want to be a nurse anymore, and they're single and renting, right? And they're like, this is something I would love to do. It
so
would
where would
be
you
a
go
very
looking for that kind of person?
how would I go looking for that kind of person? I would go on, okay, so I'd start on LinkedIn, right? And I'd find everybody who was a nurse who wasn't working or were a nurse and now they're doing something that's not nursing at all. And kind of start there. That's kind of where I mean, you're hitting me off the cuff with this, but like if I had to do that search, I would start with people who were like nurses, nursing assistants, RNs,
Okay.
and see anyone who wasn't working as that.
Okay,
Like they had that.
she told me that she might drop into the show and tell us how she did that search.
I would love to
Okay,
hear it. And I'm
okay,
gonna
but if
text her
she
right
no,
now.
if she doesn't come here, she should go to ask her on Friday if you remember. That sounds like a good story. But that's not the end of the story. She also recruited somebody from Howard Schultz at Starbucks to go around the world to figure out places where Bill Gates' plane could land in third world countries. What a search. Wow.
But
Now,
hey, you know what? Like those searches I would say are fun, right? Because you're going to do them on retainer, right? You're going to
not
do them.
necessarily.
Absolutely.
Years ago, when I used to work with Anthony J. Meany, we would take any search, and there was some real wild ones.
That's
like
that would be a fun search, right? Because you want to find a pilot, right? You find
not necessarily. Would it be
Why
a pilot?
not? Why not? Because a pilot's going to have more knowledge, right? He's not going to have to ask a lot of questions. He can look at the airport and go, okay, this is the length, this will work. He doesn't need to research.
Could be a retired controller as well, I
yeah,
guess.
Air traffic controller.
Okay, but you just gave me an idea. I would start calling controllers and pilots for referrals. Okay,
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's a good way.
Yeah, I mean, today, the first thing I would do is go on LinkedIn and send connection requests to every pilot I could, saying, "Hey, I'm a headhunter, and I have this really weird search. I need someone who could travel the world, looking at third world airports that G5s can land in." Right? Can you give me a reference of someone? It's a Gulfstream 5. It's the largest, G6 now. It needs a runway. It needs a long runway, right? So I'm assuming that's probably what he's got, right? He would have like a G5. So he would need a certain runway length for landing and for taking off. And that's why that guy did that, right? Because you don't know. There's tons and tons of airports, but like a G5 can't land in.
Okay, I'm moving on. You're verbose today. Okay.
I don't know if where G5 can land. I was kind of excited about that one.
Yeah. Okay.
They can need 6,800 feet. Actually.
I run the show. Okay. Now, okay. So here. Does success take sacrifice? This guy posted, I'm number one at my company. I often stay until the cleaners come. I don't know what time that would be. 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I don't know. But he said the people that are lapping me, okay, they're doing better than him. They live and breathe work. He says usually the top performers are sacrificing things other people won't. Okay, that sounds like the difference between Richie Rich Rosen and Tommy Pistachio Elascio. Okay, Rich spends his evenings, although he doesn't see it as a chore, in front of the TV, watching TV, but he's got ADHD, so he can do two things at one time. He does all his research watching TV. I don't think I could do that, okay? But his wife sits with him, so he's not alone anyway either. Maybe she says, honey, you got to pay some attention to your work. We want to go on a trip, and I need you to earn more money. I don't know what her role is, okay? But he's not on his own. He's got to, comfort the company there. But Tom says, hey, I like doing things, okay? Oh, hey, here she is. Okay. The girl of the hour, Kelly Nelson.
There she is.
It's Special K.
Hey, yeah.
Here I am.
Okay, the lovely
Special
Special
K.
K.
How
Now,
you
these guys,
doing?
they're all the managers of Tom's the recruiterroundtable.com on Fridays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so if you want to see these trio of people together, plus a bunch of other people who call in, you go there. It's in the show notes here. But Kelly did 2 searches, and we were just speculating, Kelly, about how you managed those weird searches. Okay, first we told the story about how Tom broke up a marriage in order to make a search.
You make me sound. I did not break it up. Okay?
Yes, he
not move-
did.
And first of all,
Yes,
they
he
weren't
did.
married. They were engaged, fiance, whatever you want to call it. And she moved to Montreal without him. He wouldn't move
Yeah.
to Montreal because of the
Tommy
offer I got
said-
him.
Wait.
Tommy said, "Listen-
You didn't withdraw the offer. You didn't withdraw the offer.
No,
Exactly.
he said, look, I've got an offer you can't refuse. Okay, that's exactly what happened. Okay, he said, listen, Brent, it's her or a big wad of dough. Okay,
Tom made a
Okay.
placement at a
It's
strip.
okay.
Tom made a placement at a strip club.
$63,000 base, and they offered him 80,000 Canadian base plus guaranteed
yeah, we
bonus,
went
which
through it
doubled his
already.
salary.
Okay, no, I want to
So
get
I
to.
didn't break up his marriage.
I want to get to, but did you notice that the layout changed and now it's the regular kind of layout? I think. Okay, Kelly did 2 searches that we speculated. Tom speculated at length, and I added a bit about how she did them, and we're going to see how close we came. Okay, one was a companion for Paul Allen's mother. Okay, Paul Allen is
The late Paul Allen. He's
Oh
gone.
yes,
Paul Allen
this
died?
doesn't make any difference.
Yes,
He
it
died
does.
10 years ago or 15 from cancer. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that was what's his name?
Okay. Who cares? Let me run the show. Okay. So anyway, she placed a companion for his mother, and then she also found a person to go around the world picking airports in 3rd world countries for Bill Gates to land in. So let's do the Paul Allen search first. How did you get it?
So I moved to Seattle knowing nobody, and I answered an ad for an executive search company. I had experience. I saw the ad on Saturday, got hired on Monday, and started on Wednesday. And the person that I worked for, who I still am connected to, had been in Seattle for a long time. And so he had a reputation, and companies, we didn't even have to look for business. They just came to us. And so because of his reputation, we got searches like that. And the search for Paul Allen was for his nonprofit, the one, it's escaping me, the
Basketball
Bill-
team?
Paul and Melinda, Bill and
Gates?
Melinda Gates Foundation. Yes, the
Gates
Bill and Melinda
Foundation.
Gates Foundation.
No, hold on. We're
Yes.
talking about Paul Allen's mother.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about
Yeah, we'll
the
come to Bill
researching-
Gates after. Come on, you guys are wrecking my show. You know what?
Sorry.
I'm jealous
Oh.
about the Recruiting Animal show because they've got their show on Fridays and they're screwing me up. Stick to the point. How
Okay.
old was she? We said she was an older woman. How old? I don't want to say old lady because people would come at me for that. How old was this woman?
At the time, she was in her 70s. I don't know her exact age.
That's not old these days. Maybe it was 20
But
years ago.
this was 20 years ago.
Okay.
When 70 was old.
Who's
How did you
making noise
How did you
there?
go about finding? Like, what was your methodology for finding?
You know, she's going to get to that. That's the question.
Well,
What did they want? First of all, what did they want? What was the job description?
there wasn't one. You didn't work with, when you work with
What
famous
did they
people
tell you? What were
They
you going?
wanted
You're
a
basing your search
companion.
on?
who would go around the world to Paul Allen's homes when she traveled and turn down her bed and take care of her little dogs?
And
So
how
the
many
pers-
homes did he have around the world?
I don't remember that. animal.
How did you
It's
find
Paul
somebody,
Allen.
Phil? Now, okay, here's where you and Tom are going to come head to head. How did you find that person? What were your search parameters?
It was somebody that obviously could be trusted, somebody who could keep their mouth shut. That's paramount when you work with famous people. And somebody that really didn't have a life because they were this woman's constant companion. So it wasn't somebody with a family. It was, well, do you want to know the person that we found?
I don't want
need
you to
it.
reveal any
Yeah,
secrets.
don't
No,
dox anybody,
but-
but what was the, like, how did you think about putting the search together? Like, who do you decide to call? How do you decide if someone has no life?
Who was the person, first of all?
Wait a minute. So we put together all of the soft traits that this person would have, like what I just said. And we came up with a flight attendant.
Ooh.
How did Tom didn't get that at all. Okay, he said you go looking for a nurse.
I was thinking nurse or physician's assistant or somebody who didn't want to be a nurse anymore.
Yeah, so it was a flight attendant because
And now, how did you decide on flight attendants? How did you find her, the flight attendant?
well, and this was before LinkedIn. So we looked through, first of all, we did what everybody does, which is look through their database first. And then we
Yeah, but what did you
started-
look for even in your database? It's a strange search. Personal companion? And did you do a search for personal companion? What was it? How did you find this person? Don't make me dump you, okay? I want to hear what's going on here.
You can't dump Special K. I'm special.
So so you looked at his database first, and then your idea is, let's find an ex flight attendant.
Yes. And so
But
since
how did that occur to you? It didn't occur to us. We're not stupid, are we?
She's
stupid?
smarter than us.
You're stupid. You're stupid.
I am criminally stupid. So
oh, that is not
Proudly stupid.
yeah, probably
okay.
criminally stupid.
How did you
Don't
come
Tom
up with
for
the
that.
flight attendant? Okay, I would never think of that. At least
Mhm.
I don't know. So was she already in your database? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah. That's how we found her.
And yeah, but as what? As a flight attendant?
Yes.
Well, how did you
Did
decide?
you look for an older person?
Sorry?
Did you look for an older person?
No.
She's
How old
70.
was the flight attendant?
She was in her 40s. She was probably about 45.
Okay, well, Ernie might be on the right trail there, okay? And even Paul, Tom as well. They said somebody who's not interested in doing their current job, but has a lot of experience. Okay.
So she, Alaska Airlines is based in Seattle. And that's who we started. We started looking for people like that who were related to the travel industry that would be able to help his mother navigate, going to all these places. That's what we
How many
decided.
places? You don't remember, eh? How many places?
Well, it probably wasn't, it wasn't just his homes. It was wherever she wanted to go.
And would she have to hang around this person all day long?
Yes.
I would blow my brains out. Okay, I just know it. Okay, I couldn't handle that. Sounds easy,
Yes.
but I couldn't do it. Okay, and one more question from me. If anybody else has a question, they're welcome to ask as well. But how you said confidentiality was essential. How did you test that? How did you know that she would keep her lips zipped?
Well, first you do a very thorough background check and make sure there's no surprises there. And then, of course, there's the ironclad non-disclosure agreement. And, talking to her bosses and talking to everybody. At the time, that's all we had. We didn't have any other way of knowing.
Okay, how did it work out?
And sorry.
Great. It worked out really well.
I would also say with the non-disclosure, the agreement, like he's a billionaire. So think about what legal ramifications he could do to you, right?
Yeah.
So when you're signing, if I signed it, me and Kelly sign one, what's Kelly going to do? Maybe she'll hire an attorney for $1,000 to sue me. That's it. You do that to a billionaire, your life is over.
you got
He's
a
going to
point,
buy
but
every company
if
you go to
you're-
work for.
You know
Fire you.
what's crazy about it is the fact that your job depends on this person staying alive.
Well, yeah, that's not that strange. She was only in her 70s. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, the average age is what, 78 people die.
I don't think so. Maybe back then. I don't know, but I don't think.
I mean,
I'm
if you
around
make it
people in
past
their 90s all the
72 or
time now.
something, don't you like live 10 more years or something I read?
This is Paul Allen's mother, okay? It's not somebody living in a deprived part of the country. Hold
But
on.
can you imagine having that life, though? I mean, like, I want to go to France. We're going to France. There we go.
Yeah, it's like in the movies. It's like in the movies. But Tom said something that I wanted to. Oh no, here's what it was. Yeah, Kelly said, okay, we checked. Tom said, oh well, you could be threatened by a big suit from a billionaire if you're a blabbermouth. Your brain doesn't work like that. The urge to talk and gossip is much stronger. It pushes all reality and threats to the side. Okay, people
But
can't control
she
themselves.
wasn't a blabbermouth. They started with that, right? You start with
How do
reference
you
checking,
know?
and she's not
How do you know she's
reference
not a
checking,
blabbermouth?
talking to the people she worked with. She wasn't
But
a
she
gossiper.
wasn't in
she
this
wasn't
kind of position before. She was working on an airplane where you should be chatty. That's important to be
and
friendly.
if she wasn't a person who was there's only so much you can do, right? So if you do your due diligence, check references, talk to people that know her well, and she's not a gossiper, she's not a blabbermouth, that's the only place you could start. And then you add the ironclad agreement from a billionaire, right? That you're
The
good
other
to go.
thing too, that this has been a really long time,
You
but
disappear.
I believe I remember that she had worked for people that owned their own private jets.
Okay,
Also,
you're throwing
so she
stuff
had
in
had
there.
experience.
You didn't
Okay.
tell us
working
that.
with-
You didn't
Yeah,
tell us.
Ernie's right.
I want to
Ernie's
know
right.
what you did to find the guy for the I said
Okay, yes,
for the
move
guy
on to the
do
next search.
the jets.
The next one for
My
Bill Gates.
idea was I go after older pilots or that because that way they wouldn't need to they could just call and go how long's your way, right? Whatever.
Tom,
And
let
he
her
said,
describe the search. Let her describe the search in
Go
her
ahead.
own terms about going and finding these runways. Tell us about that, Kelly. Set the
Okay,
scene.
so it was for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It was probably around 2005 or so. So we're going back. And they called us for somebody who would research areas for Bill Gates to land his plane in third world countries. So it was somebody that would obviously know how to do that. So we looked in the travel industry.
Like what in the travel? For who in the travel industry is big? Come on.
Yes. Well, let me finish, Animal. So we entered, so it had to be for another famous person. So we looked for people who were in the travel, in a travel capacity, like travel agents for Larry Ellison. That's the first place I went. Other famous people. We
A
went
travel
there.
agent books your flight. It doesn't go to
they
Uganda
have
and
the
see if the
ability.
runway's suitable.
So did the guy
So
have
there
to
was
Up to
fly?
you guys.
There wasn't anybody that could do it. That was the closest person that could
And we
do
didn't
it.
have the internet the way we have it today, so it wasn't like right now I could go and look at every airport and tell you what the runway length is. And I'm assuming I was telling Animal he probably had like a G5 that needs like 6,000 feet to land and take off. So this person had to go and make sure all these runways were that length. You can't do. You could today. You just go and you just put it in and go, what's the runway length, and it tells you. Back then, he probably had to travel around and go to these airports.
You know what? Tom's speculation about picking a pilot seems much more reasonable than going to somebody in a travel agency. I don't
No,
Who'd you end up finding?
because they only wanted to pay someone 90,000,
Plus travel expenses.
probably.
These are guys
I
that
don't
give away
remember
$1 billion.
that
No
They
matter-
only wanted to
90,000.
pay. They only wanted
Final
to pay
question.
90,000 a year.
Final question: did they have to travel around the world to take a look at those runways, or like Tom just said a minute ago, is there a grading for every airport that you just go through a book?
No, they had to go. They had to go with them, and do it ahead of time, like research it, and then go with them.
Oh,
Oh,
so they
okay.
this was more of like a safety thing as well. Like you don't want to land, even though this runway takes your G5. As soon as you land, the rebels come out and shoot you. Right? We're not going to land here.
So
Tom,
you hired Is that when you
Oh.
hired Liam Nielsen?
Yeah, that's,
Who
that's got a gun.
did you end up finding for that? What was that person's background, Kelly?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you say
Who
it
did
again?
you end up finding to fill that position? Who was that person? What type of background?
So it was, even though I worked for the owners of Starbucks also, I took their person, the head of travel for Howard Schultz.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay. Those
Okay.
are some interesting searches. I don't know if I would. First of all, retained, 100% retained, right? I'm not doing that.
You
if
don't, they don't,
They can fuck
No.
off then.
anybody, anybody would work for them. That's like, they don't do that.
I don't
And they-
understand that attitude. Like, so, oh, I got to work for Bill Gates. So what? What does that give you in terms of besides?
No, that's
clout?
like a high profile name. If you're good enough for Bill, lots of other people would want to hire you as well. Come on.
Well, there's a whole industry around working for famous people. It's
Oh, okay.
it's a whole industry that works for famous people. You get a reputation for, number one, being able to keep your mouth shut, which obviously I cannot because we're on this call. But, you get a reputation for that, and it's a very closed industry. And so, there's
Okay, I'm going to give you a break. You're telling us stories from 20 years ago without any real names or any scandals. So,
I signed NDAs, Animal.
Well, you asked.
Okay. No.
That's
I mean, she's
fine.
not doing anything wrong. Before we move on, I want to ask up in heaven if David M. Marr has any comments or wisdom to give on to this stuff. Or no, it's okay. You don't have to say a word. Okay, even if you might not even be listening. Okay.
Yes, he does.
Okay. So here's what, before Kelly joined us, and thank you, Kelly. So nice to see you again, and
I'll
to give
stick
us
around.
and give us the goods. You gave us we had. Although I have to say, I like Tom's approach better than the real one.
That's why I
Okay.
probably wouldn't have filled it.
Yeah. Okay. But okay. You know what? I'll go to a different question. Okay. This person said, psychological pain tolerance is an underrated trait of greatness that no one talks about. Any successful person will have to take some massive hits, massive losses, ego wounds, and just keep moving forward with enthusiasm. Okay. It reminds me of that famous Churchill saying, which I can't quote. Okay. Do you guys believe that's true? And if so, does it have an application to recruiting? Do recruiters require a higher degree of psychological pain tolerance than most other jobs?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And the reason
Elaborate.
why we fail 90% of the time, right? In other sales jobs, that's why a lot of people fail when they come into our industry, because every call, you're failing, you're constantly failing, you're getting hung up on. It is not like when you're selling cars. Yes, you do not sell some cars, but when people come onto the lot, they're there to buy a car, right? So it's a much easier sale, in my opinion. And that goes the same thing for selling something that doesn't talk. For us, we're constantly failing. But when we succeed, it's a huge check, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. So you have to deal with so much more rejection and so much more psychological pain, so to speak, in our job than any other job.
Okay. Now, Donna always calls Ernie the Godfather because of his threatening, relaxed attitude, his subtle threat. So, Ernie, do you have more psychological strength than the average person that you apply to your job? Okay, because you told us a story about some guy who pointed his finger at you about 2 weeks ago. You told us, and you said,
that wasn't
I'm
that
gonna beat the
wasn't
shit out of
recruiting.
you. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. No, he was the VP of HR. Okay, that's worse.
It just sometimes, I mean, you look at the people here, my partners here, and all of us, you don't know what everyone's background is. And a lot of times people assume that everybody comes from a wealthy family, everybody comes from a great family, and it's all good, but you don't know. And so that's why you have to be careful with the people that are more quiet. Because you just don't.
These guys are
No,
confusing me today. Okay?
it's why he said, if you wag your finger at me, I'm going to break your fucking arm or whatever, because he's a quiet guy, and that guy probably assumed because he's a quiet guy, he could do whatever he wants.
Or just sometimes you get in the corporate world, people get paid some money, and they think they can do whatever in the fuck they want to do. Excuse me. They can do whatever they want, and they think they're great, and all of a sudden, because people are they're worshiping them basically. Here's your coffee, sir. Do you need anything? Can I go get you a sandwich? I'm leaving, and pretty soon you start sucking that up. I mean, back then, as a VP of HR, and my wife was this attorney making about $300,000. We'd be in restaurants, and people would come and introduce themselves to us, and you're like, "Oh, I just wanted to meet you." Okay, yeah, thank you. Bye. Get out of here.
Wow.
But it together we're making about $500,000, and it was nice.
Okay, no, hold on a second. So was your psychological strength part of your personality, or was it part of your bank account? Okay, you had a lot of fuck you money.
It's part of how I grew up, and part of how the area you grew up in, and how you
grew up. You said you grew up on the streets tough, but you also grew up from a humble beginning. Okay, you said you were a fruit picker in California.
Yeah, you grew up humble, but at the same time, you got the people around you that are crazier than crap, and you got to know how to defend yourself. You got to know how to walk away. You got to know what to avoid.
Okay, so hold on a second. What does this mean? If you call up somebody, just like Tom was saying, Kelly, we'll get to you. I know you agreed with Tom, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Don't worry. But so if you get somebody on the phone who treats you cold call them, and they think, hey, I can abuse this recruiter. He can't do anything to me. Okay. Are you going to use that kind of aggressive? I think you should use that kind of.
You just kind of laugh a little bit.
No, but why can't you do to those guys what you did to that?
He's not in front of me.
Yeah, he's not in front of you. That those are idle threats, right?
But then you just sit in front and you say, I don't really need this. And then the real question becomes, what happens afterwards? Afterwards, you don't deal with them. That's the nature of our businesses. We decide who we want to work with.
You say, who do you think you're talking to like that? Just because you can't see me on the phone?
Well, once you do that with somebody, then you give them control of your emotions. You just keep control of your own emotions, and you just tell them thank you.
What's
and then
wrong
you
with me? He just told us that you got to put people in your place.
It's a different. You're talking about on the phone. You're talking about on the
Ernie's
phone.
like a gangster boss. Okay.
It's why I say when someone says, "Hey, we don't ever use recruiters," I go, "Oh, that's awesome," and they're like, "What?" I go, "Yeah, I need sources." That's how you get to somebody like that, right? That's
we're talking like about Finkel the other day. When you were talking about it in the podcast.
About how he sells.
We talked about how do you deal with somebody who says, "I want." I don't deal with anybody that gives me an engagement fee. And then, what was your answer? The answer was from Finkel was, "Hey, we don't deal with anybody else unless it's an engagement fee, and we can try it out or not." But
Finkel basically says we don't even know if you're right for us. We're not sure. So what we would like to do in this first chance is do this on contingency to see if you can attract the type of talent that we're able to find. The type of talent we find is really good talent, and we're not sure that you're the right company that can attract that talent. So instead of working how we usually work, which is engaged, we're going to work this one search on contingency to see if there's some synergy between our firm and your firm.
Do you want to play?
I like that, but I don't think it has anything to do with what we're talking about.
It's talking about taking control of the conversation.
We were talking about taking psychological abuse. Okay,
yeah,
that's what we were talking about.
And again, you're getting hung up on. That's a lot of psychological abuse. You're constantly pitching your job, and you're going, "No, thank you, click. No, thank you, click. No, thank you, click." That's some of the psychological abuse recruiters have to deal with on a daily basis. The same thing, yes, occasionally people tell us to fuck off. Occasionally people call us flesh peddlers, right? But the majority of it is no, thank you, click. Like that is the majority of the negativity you experience as a recruiter. There are horror stories and stuff that we can say, this guy said this candidate said that, right? Whatever. But in general, it's just really no, thank you, click. And when you're making 50, 100 phone calls a day early on in this career, and this is what you're told to do, and you cannot succeed, you are failing. Your draw is 800, then it's 1,600, then it's 3,200, then it's 4,000, and you still haven't made a single placement. You haven't got a single candidate to talk to you. That is some psychological pain that no other industry really feels, and to be able to deal with that gives us a thick skin. So when somebody starts cussing me out, like, who gives a shit, right? Fuck you, man. I'll steal all your people, right? who cares, right? Like,
Yeah, Donna, he just told us how he put a company out of business by stealing all their people. He broke up
I
a
want to
marriage.
jump
too.
back to real quick. You had said something about the guy who said he's there till the clean lady shows, but the other guys are there longer.
Okay, well,
And
Kelly,
I
we'll
want
come
to
back
comment
Kelly
on
in a minute.
that because
Go ahead.
what is the sense of not having the life to be successful in a job, right? Like, you can't get back that time with your wife. You can't get back that time with your kids. So if you're staying there till midnight just so you can make 200 grand more than me, why?
You know, you get on these podcasts and you listen to some of them on YouTube, and there's these guys saying, I'm a million dollar biller, and not rich, but others. And then they talk about their life, and they talk about, yeah, well, my first marriage and my second marriage, and then like, shit. So that's the first thing I
Rich has had one marriage, okay? Just so he's our
And
guy.
Rich is an
okay?
Same
anomaly,
here.
right? Yeah, there's me too. It's an
And
anomaly,
I.
right? But to me, I
47
make a
years.
nice living, right? I don't need to bill $1 million. Like, it would be nice, but I'm not going to do it and ignore my family, not go to horse shows, not go to football games, not play with my grandkids, right? I got up this morning, I took my granddaughter with me to go get horse feed, right? And bought her a tractor, and then came back here at 11:30 and I started working, right? So there's no amount of money. Now, granted, I'm not going to only make 50 grand, right? Like, but why would I want to work an extra 20 hours for an extra $100,000 and not spend time with my family?
But even if you made 50 grand, it's the time still goes.
Mhm.
Time still goes, and that's the thing. You see so many people that realize, you know what, it went out the window, it went too fast. Because
on Twitter lately, or X, I've seen a lot of people saying advice for younger people. Sacrifice your 20s to give yourself a good life later on. Okay, and they mean it.
That's okay. Like sacrificing early when you're not, like, I always laugh. Like, if you want to do drugs when you're in your teens and 20s, because then nothing's going to be destroyed. Don't do drugs when you're 50 because you'll destroy yourself. Right?
But then ask yourself, who's telling you that? Is it some guy that's been married 3 times? Is it some guy that says this is what I consider success? And it comes down to what you consider success and what you consider happiness. I mean, there are people that we know that they're very successful, but their kids are on drugs. They're not around. It's life is rough. And I've had some friends, some recruiters that are telling me,
why make it even rougher? That's a great point, Ernie. Life already is rough. Why make it rougher?
I was expecting Mr. DeMar to say something there.
David Moore.
Well, I was
never
like,
shows
we're all
up
wearing
on-
hoodies. I'm like, what? We're all in
Oh,
hoodies.
there
What
he
the
is.
heck?
It's cold out here. Okay,
Donna's got her.
Donna's in Florida.
It's part of the dress code.
She's showing those
Same
shoulders
here.
again.
And we
What's
did
the
get
weathering?
cold.
What's the
That's because we
weathering
can't.
calories,
That's because
Kelly?
we can't afford heat.
Yeah.
50.
Okay,
It got down to
Kelly-
30s this morning. Just
Oh,
Kelly
geez.
Kelly agreed right away with the statement that recruiters have to have a higher degree of psychological pain tolerance. You want to elaborate? Do you have a reason to support your claim, Kelly?
Well, it's like Tom says, this is the only business where you have 2 sales to make a deal. And so, and also, when you deal with people for a living, they do all kinds of stuff to you. It's not like selling, car parts or something like that where they can't talk back, but you have 2 people to deal with. And I think that's the crux of it. Because it's harder, anytime you have to deal with people, it's harder.
Yeah, you can do everything right, cover everything with counteroffer. And I say this all the time. Do not try to control that, because if you think you can control it, you'll go crazy, right? People make decisions, and when you deal with people, they change their mind, and you cannot fix that. You can't do anything when a person changes their mind. It could be the best offer, best location, best money, best company, best everything.
He changed the guy's mind, so he dumped his fiance.
Again, it
Okay,
doesn't
now he's
happen
saying you
all the
can't change
time,
anybody's mind.
But it does happen, right?
You can influence, but you
And
can't
so
make
then
people
you
do
just
things.
call-
influence.
If they dump you at offer time, you call and you do references on them. That's what you do. So then it's brutal, but hey, I had a guy one time that was like, I prayed on this and I'm not gonna do it.
I got a
Dan,
story
that's
about
when I
praying.
said you call and you do references on that person, and then they might change their mind.
I had a candidate that actually wasn't mine. It was one of our recruiters who said he needed to pray on it. And he prayed and he accepted the job on Monday, right? And then he took a counter offer on Wednesday. And my recruiter, I can't believe he said this. He goes, so God was wrong. And that guy got pissed. And the idea behind that was, and I like, you prayed, God said this is a great opportunity, and then because they gave you more money, it's not. Like, and I understand his frustration, but that's what you run into when you deal with people. And it's possible to do everything right, commit no errors, do everything right, and still lose. That's just life, man. That's life.
I had an offer turned down because the 8-year-old didn't want to move from a single parent.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
8-year-old?
8-year-old. And this is
14-year-old, yes.
and this is a
8-year-old?
manager. This is a manager position, and an 8-year-old's deciding for the family whether or not they should move. And this person was a single parent, and the only child. So, and then she called me back 2 weeks later and says, "Is that position still open?" I go, "Well, yeah, it is, but not for you. Bye."
It's that's like we talk about from the time that you talk to the candidate, you are pre-closing, why is this job better than the one you have now, over and over till you're a broken record, to circumvent all that. But even though I do all of that, people still change their mind. There's nothing you can do.
The reload,
that is the psychological pain. That's the psychological pain that you deal with. Like you did everything right and it still fell apart.
And the factor
how could that happen?
That comes into it is loyalty. They're always loyal to their company, and the company doesn't give a
Jets
shit.
aren't loyal. Cars aren't loyal.
Well, I got two things to say. That if Tom would have had that search, he would have found a way to get the family to put that kid in some kind of placement. Okay, at least with an uncle or an aunt, and leave them behind.
Tom would have had that kid adopted.
Yeah. But Ernie, why did you tell the candidate that the job's open but not for you? Why did you say that? You're an idiot. Did you tell them?
I lost all trust in the fact that I was dealing with a client, and you're hiring somebody to make decisions, and you got some 8-year-old telling your decision maker that this is what they should be doing, and so you don't go with anything. I mean, you just leave her alone. Get out of here. You kind of get that read on people, like how confident are they, and you don't want to make a placement with somebody that.
I can see where someone was blaming all their decisions on God.
But like the kid thing,
there's like a third party in your relationship that you have no control over.
Well, the lady told me that God had spoken through her 8-year-old child. No,
but so the kid thing, right? So that is something that like, and I'm not. Please, Ernie, don't take us wrongly, but like, hey, do you have grandparents? Are they local? Like, how are they going to feel a kid moving away? What reason, I know your kid's 8-year-old, he doesn't have a boyfriend, doesn't have a girlfriend, isn't on a sports team. So there's no reason why, is there going to be any reason when we do this location that your 8-year-old's not going to move, right? Those are kind of the questions that I do. Now, if someone tells me they have teenagers, I immediately say, you're moving. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I understand that you're interested in this job. You are not moving a 15 and a 17-year-old. Your 17-year-old senior year in college, and he plays football, and you think you're going to move him next month? It's never going to happen. So why are we even talking about this? Right? So the 8-year-old, I might have been the same as Ernie and kind of passed it over. But any time that when you're relocating someone, there are so many more angles you have to cover than when they're just switching jobs.
And even just taking it, do you own a house? Yes, I do. What are you going to do with it? And they got to have an answer. Well, I'm going to sell it, or I'm going to let my 20-year-old daughter.
Reloads need to have. What is it going to cost to move you? A cardboard box and a bus ticket. Like that's a reload you want to do.
Yeah, the people that say, yeah, it's me and my dog, man. My kids are all out of the house. I'm divorced. It's just me and the dog. Okay, and a lot of these guys too that I see now, they have their own little Winnebagos or little vans modified. I live in the van. I go around. That's all.
I have a candidate that lived in an RV and parked it outside of the office of the engineering firm for 2 years.
Yep.
Wow. Donna, do you want in on any of these conversations? I think you've told us before that at first you used to feel bad when people got mad at you when you were making cold calls, and afterwards you didn't care.
Yeah, the first time someone yelled at me and cursed me out, I cried, but that was just Yeah, the first
And you
time.
got over it. You know what? She was a
Mhm.
school teacher. She was dealing with a bunch of animals. Okay.
But the only thing I would say to Ernie that about the 8-year-old thing, because that seemed to rub you all the wrong way. I don't know if it's a divorce situation, an 8-year-old really can throw a
Oh,
wrench in it.
yeah. You've got a point. There might have been the other
Mhm.
parent issue. Yeah.
If the kid's
No,
gonna
but she-
fix it, if
no,
the
but
kid's
she had-
gonna fix it.
She had accepted the job.
I
And
know,
now-
but
the
look,
weekend
I've
she
got.
tells me I
Oh,
can't go.
really? Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
know.
She
She
backed
accepted
out because of the
and she was-
8-year-old.
And she was supposed to start on Monday.
Oh,
I mean, that is bad. That is really bad. But I'm still saying an 8-year-old, it doesn't mean that the 8-year-old's just ruling the roost. There could be other things. That's all.
I told him.
She should have considered that first, though.
I said, put the kid up for adoption. Leave her.
I mean, that's
She's on
always
her
an
own.
option. Yeah.
I used to visit my friend. He had a 5-year-old kid, and the kid bossed him around. He'd be showing me something in his house, and she'd say, "You have to go downstairs now." And he'd say, "Okay." I said, "Don't invite me back if this kid's pushing us around, okay?" But
That's
that was
bad.
only moving around the house, not moving them to another city, okay? So, okay. You know, just want to follow up. Someone else posted on X, work at a pace you can maintain. The goal is not speed, it's finishing strong, okay? So everybody here seems to agree on that one.
That's an easy one.
Tommy,
Yeah.
you should not yawn on this show because that's the picture I'm going to take of you to put in.
Motherfucker.
I changed the picture last week because Rich didn't
That's
like
his
it.
background quote too. Mother.
What? Rich gets photo approval. Richie Rich.
Well,
I don't even care.
I
I
keep
just give you a hard
changing
time.
yours.
It doesn't matter
I
to
keep.
me.
Did you see that
Have a
picture?
great one,
with
I look
everybody.
good all the
smile?
time.
You don't check the pictures, Donna, but I did have one from you, and then I put in one with a bigger smile. Okay, so just to
Okay.
please her, because I know these people, you know, we're all talking about psychological strength, and they are thin-skinned. They come after me after the show. This out! I need that picture. Are you crazy? Okay. There
We're
you go.
vain. That's all.
Animal, every time I go to Disneyland, I see other coonskin hats. And I
How
think,
many times do you go to Disneyland? Okay, how can you
Animal-
afford that?
So,
Is that
so
cool?
October 30th, Animal posts a picture of me drinking a coffee, a sip of coffee.
That's
my
hilarious. Come on, that's terrific.
But I don't care what picture because I always look good.
Are you sure?
So,
Okay, if you're sensitive about it,
Wow.
I'll put everybody with their straight. Like, I put that one too with you got that great hairdo. You didn't lie. I thought it was great.
they
you
got
know.
me going like this on one of them.
No, but I put one in with Rich too, where you're giving
Rich is
yourself
going
a
like
face
this,
palm.
like,
Yeah.
doing this, which is
That's great.
basically
Okay, but if people
Animal
don't
went
like
black
it-
and white on something.
Okay. Okay. Is that for me? This has been a real fun conversation. Does anybody want one more question, or should we finish
Sure.
it off now? It's up to you.
We
Anybody
have
got
time.
something that they want to say? Anybody got some
I have
issue?
one thing to say. I can't believe how much you let everybody talk. You didn't jump in or anything. So you
No,
must have
didn't I?
liked it. Not
Hold on,
I
Kelly,
I
is that
came on
true?
late. I
Kelly
came
hasn't
on
been
late.
here for a long time. Kelly, did I not interrupt?
maybe a little.
Just a little, okay.
I came in
Tony, you
late,
came
to be
late.
fair.
I was pushing her
Yes.
around like crazy. Come on, get with it, okay?
Okay.
Get on the bus here. You don't drive us nuts.
You had
Because
used it all up. You'd used it all
But
up
this
by the
was
time I
very
came on.
unique. This was like a game show. Tom made a guess about how Kelly made these two weird placements, right? And then when she showed up, so she could show him how wrong he was. It was real funny. Okay.
What's
Oh,
interesting
okay.
because that is a weird search. So that was, I wouldn't even know how to attack that.
Well,
I also
without the
did-
internet.
I also did so Paul Allen also owned a dude ranch. And we found somebody who would manage his dude ranch also.
Okay, Kelly, let me ask you
That
a
one
question
seems
then.
like it'd be a little easier.
Yeah.
No, Kelly, so you were plugged in already to this idea of placing people with celebrities. Okay, there's a whole, you said, universe of personal assistants and stuff like that. How come you didn't stay there in that niche? It sounds like you were.
'Cause she can't keep her mouth shut.
Oh
Right.
no, look how quiet she is on this show. She's
Yeah,
not
but why?
cutting
Yeah, why
anything
didn't you
out.
stay, Kel?
We moved.
Yeah, but couldn't you have still done the searches?
Should have talked to Tommy. Would have broken up your marriage.
For some reason that kind of broke the chain. My husband we moved from Seattle because I couldn't take the weather.
Uh-huh.
and we moved to Phoenix, and that kind of broke the chain of it.
You went from Seattle to Phoenix to California?
Hmm.
You just,
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
go real expensive. We'll go real cheap. Now let's go really, really expensive.
Okay. Here's a related. I'll close off with this related question. Okay. The founder of Netflix, Mark Randolph, posted this. Okay. So it's not just some dope. Okay.
He can still be a dope.
Yeah, smart people have dope. They do one thing right. It doesn't mean they do everything right. Okay. Okay. He said every successful career I've ever known was filled with long periods of meandering, okay, months and even years when no one knew where they were going. He said, look at me. I started as a geology major turned failed realtor. I was a real estate agent and I failed. And then I ended up founding several companies, one of which ended up becoming Netflix. I think that's nonsense. He's talking about a very narrow slice of successful people with these wilderness years. Anybody want to comment on that?
I was a bartender, beverage manager, so, ran the wine bar at a restaurant, was going to open my own restaurant, right? That was kind of like my thing for a while, right? I was a pothead surfer working in the restaurant business, and then I met my wife, and she was in the restaurant, so we were going to open a restaurant. That was kind of, we meandered with that, and
But
then I
those were
stumbled
not
into
wilderness years. I mean, you were doing well, and you said you were a fantastic, at least successful
I'm
bartender.
fantastic at everything I do, but still,
There you
I
go.
knew that was coming. I knew it.
You still like that. We didn't know what we like. I was a bartender, right? I had no idea how to open a restaurant, had no, money backing or anything. It was just a kind of a dream that we meandered around, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm a headhunter. So I guess maybe it's not the same, but I wasn't this super successful, person, and I had no aspirations to be an entrepreneur other than a dream to open a restaurant one day. So
well, to me, I
don't know.
understand what you're saying, but it still sounds like you were successful at whatever you did. Like you backed first, I was lost, but I was doing fantastic. Okay, I'll agree to that.
Was he successful at the stuff that did while
I
he
don't
was
know the
lost?
details. Now I have to look up his
But,
biography.
But then you gotta
Anybody else?
look at how many people are not successful.
Yeah, yeah.
What does that mean, though? What does not successful mean?
Means you're
Broke,
dead.
not happy.
Broke and unhappy. Yeah, broke and unhappy.
Broke. What broke mean? What is the level of broke? Because that's
Can't pay your bills and you're unhappy.
okay. So is there a
I
lot of
mean-
people like that? You think
Yeah.
they can't pay
Yeah.
their bills?
Or
Yes.
they're not successful in they're in jobs they don't really like, or they're not, they're not enjoying. Okay, they're not.
Okay.
I
I
got
always
way,
feel like
way too many
Go
friends who can't pay their bills right now. It's a real thing.
that sucks.
Yes.
That sucks.
I've
And
got-
I guess I'm sure I'm rose-colored glasses or whatever they call it, but success, I think is relative to the person, right? So maybe many like Rich would maybe not think I'm successful because I don't make the kind of money he makes, right? And then someone who's making 50 grand a year thinks I'm wildly successful. I think success can be relative.
Okay, I have a follow up for this. I'll leave that for next week. That successful people are never satisfied. Okay. Anybody else want to comment on that? On that one? We'll leave that for.
That's a
we'll
good
pick this up.
question.
You know what made me think of it? I remember because Rich is never satisfied. The guy's earning tons of money, and he says he's always worried about money. Okay, that's what he
Oh
said.
yeah, all of us are always worried about money. You're always worried about
You don't
money.
sound like you're
because-
worried. You don't sound like
yeah,
you're
of
worried.
course I am. Of
I
course,
want to go to
am.
the horse show. I want to take my kid out.
But
It's-
you
it's
still
whether
worry
you're-
about
whether
the
you're
money.
It's whether you're concerned about the money or you're worried about the money. When you worry about something, it distracts you from everything else.
Okay, we're getting into the fine
That's
gradations.
a good point,
We're going to
Yeah.
save that for when we have time. The great Kelly Nelson,
Special
Kelly
K.
Nelson, the great Ernie Moreno, and their leader. Okay, sorry, they might not like me saying that on
Okay,
the show.
dear leader.
On
He's a
Friday
leader.
at 12:30 p.m. Every Friday, it's an exciting show where I don't know what they're doing right now, but they have a lot more technical depth than I can manage. They do demos. In fact, their archive has demos of all kinds of software that you won't see somewhere else. Okay, I saw a company online where you have to pay $350 a membership so you can get demos without going to companies. Okay, so that's really something. Okay, so they've got, I don't know if they're
Whoa.
doing them now.
That you pay the company $350 and they let you demo a whole bunch of other stuff, or
Yeah,
like, what the
yeah,
hell?
yeah, yeah. I'll look it up for you. Oh, look
Oh,
at
God.
the word on this thing.
What people will pay for?
I'll find that and we'll talk about it next week. Thanks, everybody. Lots of fun.